So just to give you an idea of how wide my knee tire is gonna be, this is 255, this is 215. What is going on, guys? It's Shin here from CZeroMedia. In today's episode, I am super excited to finally mount new rims and new set of tires on my 280Z to replace this ugly looking whatever tire rim combination is on here with like positive 50 offset. So if you're familiar with Datsuns or JDM classic cars in general, or if you have watched any episode of Initial D, you are probably by now familiar with this 8-spoke design, which became very famous by a company called Watanabe. And if you know anything about authentic Watanabes, these are not authentic Watanabes, for the reason simply because they're super expensive. Authentic Watanabes, here in the States at least, is gonna cost you like $3,000 for the right offset, diameter, and the width that I was looking for. Now, why am I not spending $3,000 on a set of rims? Because for one, I want to spend that money on suspension components and making the car actually perform better. And for two, I don't really care for authenticity. If the part performs well with the best cost to performance, then that's the choice I'm gonna go with. I don't care for the bragging rights to tell people that I'm running authentic Watanabe. This car has 116 horsepower at the wheels. Slowest car I've ever owned. At the end of the day, this is not a car I'm gonna be racing in a competition. It's just a fun little street car that I want to look good. It just didn't make sense for me to buy one here in the States for $3,000 when I could probably go to Japan, buy a set for $1,000 and bring it over here with my carry-on luggage. I want to be spending money on parts that's gonna make my car actually faster and more fun to drive than pure aesthetics. So what I have here is the Rota RKRs. If you remember back in early 2000s, Rotas were known as the replica wheel company. They were knocking off like a lot of Volks, you know, like the T37s and C28s and whatnot. And they were somewhat known for not having a good quality rims. But nowadays, in 2019, people are ripping off designs that were specifically made by Rota. So there's like knockoff of knockoffs, which kind of tells you how old I am and how long I've been in the game. But long story short, Rotas have come a long way when it comes to quality. And for the first time in my life, I've decided to buy some Rotas to run on my cars. Now you might be asking to yourself, CZero, what is the rims that you run on your race cars, on fun cars? Well, let me just show you that. So here on my Evo, I am running Enkis. I think Enkis are one of the best cost performance rims out there. It's light, it's cheap, and I get it for super cheap on CZeroMedia.com. Coupon code YouTube. I'm running the Enki NT03s here with 275 35 18s, Potenza RE11s. This has been awesome on the track for me. Also great for street riding, no complaints. And for my FD RX-7 race car, I'm gonna be running the Enki RS05 RRs. I think these are one of the best looking, best cost performance rims out there. These are gonna be 18 by 10. I'll do a video update on that for my FD RX-7 race car build series. And by the way, I keep saying Enki, but that's how Americans pronounce it. It's actually NK. And I should probably do a video on that. Alright guys, and now we're back in the garage. What I have here is the Rota RKR. This is the design I decided to go with these Rotas. There's like Rota RB, RBR, RBX, stuff like that. But I like the RKR design for the specific reason that there is an additional step down inside the rim. What I truly wanted to go with is like a 16-inch rim. A lot of old school JDM guys go with a 15-inch rim because back in the days, that's the rim size people run. This is also a 17-inch rim on the car right now. But a lot of guys back in the days run 15, so a lot of people nowadays also run 15s to keep that retro look. But this is CZeroMedia. I wanted to do something different, something a little bit modern, so I was looking for 16-inch wheels, only to find out that 16-inch rims are extremely hard to find, and 16-inch tires are also very hard to find. So I started looking for 17-inch rims. But the issue with 17-inch rims is that whenever I started looking at pictures of them on 280Zs, it looked too large in diameter. So what I ended up doing was still went with 17s, but with this lip on the inside, it makes the rim look a little smaller than 17 as opposed to a traditional design like this where the lip just drops straight out. As for the size of these rims, I'm gonna be running 17 by 9.5 in the back, offset -20. And in the front, I'm gonna be running 17 by 8.5, offset -10. Now, that is not a recommended width you want to run on your 280, 240Z, whatever you have. If you have stock fenders, that's just not gonna look great. It's gonna poke out so far. I am gonna be running ZG fenders. I still have not installed them yet, simply for the reason that I want to mount the tires and rims on the car first to see how high the car sits so that I can cut appropriately. And as for the tires, I'm going with 225, 45, 17 up front, and 255 40 17 in the back, which I think might be too big for this car, but like I said, it's just a fun little car I want to drive around the street, so I don't care too much about maximizing performance. For the first time in my life, I'm doing more of a form, not, I wouldn't say form over function, because function still to me is extremely important, but it's more of like form equals function in this build. Usually I'm doing function over form kind of build, right? With all of my cars, if you're familiar with the term. 255 in the back is going to be very large. And the reason why I went with that is because of potential of me swapping the engine down the road. If I decide to make more power out of the car, maybe like 300, 400 horsepower, I'll probably still get traction with the 255s in the back. I think that would be a perfect tire size for that amount of power. Now you might be asking yourself, CZero, why did you go with a 255/40 in the back but 225/45 in the front? That is because I wanted to keep the height of the tire the same. As you're probably familiar with how the tire dimensions work, 255 is the width and 45 or 40 is the aspect ratio, which determines the height of the tire. So the wider you go, the taller your sidewall is going to be. So 255 times 0.4 is going to be the height of my tire in the back. And for the front, it's going to be 225 times 0.45 because it's a 45 aspect ratio tire. And that calculation comes out to be the same tire outer diameter. And this calculation would be very important, especially if you have an all-wheel drive car like a GTR or an Evo. And I don't know why you would run different size tires front and back, but if you have a center differential connecting front end of the car to the rear end of the car, it becomes very important to keep that RPM, front side and rear side, consistent so you don't blow up your center diff. Now I'm not going to go into detail with sprung weight and unsprung weight, but there are people running steedies on their Datsuns. If you're not familiar with these terms, look it up. There's a lot of information online. I don't want to get into it. It is the best practice to lighten up your tire and rim combination as much as possible and reduce that unsprung weight for better steering response, braking, acceleration, and better performance around the corners. So you don't want to be running excessively cheap, excessively heavy rims like Stevie's on your Datsun. So that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and load these tires and rims up in my truck, head down to my tire guy, and go ahead and get these mounted. Alright guys, so unfortunately the guy I always take my tire to is unavailable today, so I'm just gonna have to go to a local Pep Boys. They are gonna mount and balance my setup for $100, but I am scared that they're gonna scratch my setup, so I'm gonna write on painter's tape, don't scratch me please, and I'm gonna put this on the rim. I don't know if it's gonna help, but I do hear horror stories of people scratching their rims while mounting. So I'm just gonna put this on some of my rims and see if that works. Let's go. got my rims in the back. And I just absolutely love owning a truck as a DD, especially if you own a house, especially if you modify cars. I just pop my tires and rims in the back and I'm good to go. I can't remember the last time I washed this truck. I don't ever watch out for curves. I just run it over. I don't really care if there's snow on the ground, dirt on the ground, if it's pouring down rain. I just drive through it. Zero given. And if I hit anything like a construction cone or if I get rock chips, I also don't care because it's a truck, it's a DD, and that's just the way I exactly want it to be. Good old Pep Boys. Alright, I'll be back, baby. I'm sorry, you can't come in. Alright, so I just dropped the rims and tires off. I'm gonna go pick it up in a couple of hours. I didn't realize that I was Pep Boys Rose member, so it actually cost me $75 to mount the tires and balance them. So not bad. Sounds pretty good for a truck. It was kind of funny though, because when I went in there and dropped off the tires and rims, they wanted to inspect the combination, make sure it matches each other and I have the right components. And they're like, oh, they look at the valve stem and they're like, oh, you don't have TPMS, tire pressure monitoring system, or the tire pressure sensor. And I'm like, dude, my car doesn't even have power steering or heat or AC or any of that. It is a 1978. And they're like, oh. When he said that, it made me laugh a little bit because none of my cars, even my DD, has tire pressure monitoring system, because I think the best bang for buck cars are those built in like early 2000s with just right amount of sensors and electronic components to make the car feel efficient and drive nice and have enough luxury but not too complicated to a point where you're replacing a lot of parts that fail often or end up paying too much money for luxury that you don't even need. So my 2008 Dodge Ram without TPMS, completely fine. Alright guys, so I just went to pick up my tires and here's what happened. These are rears in the 225s. This is supposed to be the front.
What's the other one?
Does it have 255 or 225?
255.
So yeah, so those two needs to be switched. Yeah. I went to go pick up my tires. I was checking out the tire fitment. Everything looked great except for one tire that looked like a car that belonged to something that was hella flush. It was stretched out. And I was like, what is going on here? Like, did you guys install this wrong? And they're like, no, dude, like, it's your tires, it's your rims. And I was like, something is weird. Like, it shouldn't be stretched out like this. And after thinking about it for a second, I was like, holy crap. They put the rear tire on the front rim and the front tire on the rear rim. So now I'm over here sitting in traffic, waiting to go back home so I can go back out again to pick up the tires and rims. I should have just gone with my dude. Support your local business, right? Take it to a shop that knows what they're doing, not that Pep Boys don't know what they're doing. How could you even screw that up? You guys are expert tire shop. You do this all day. Come on, man. Like, you had one job. Facing humanity has been lost. All right, and I'm back. I'll be back, baby. Alright, what's going on guys? I am back in my garage with the brand new set of rims and tires mounted, and I'm gonna go ahead and get started with test fitting these. This is 255 40 17. What I have on the car right now is 215 45 17. So this new tire is definitely gonna make my car feel slower than stock. What I'm trying to understand here is that with 255 40 profile tire, the overall tire height is probably going to be taller than the existing setup I have here. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and install the new setup here to see how much clearance I have offset wise, as well as just overall tire to fender gap. I want to see how much clearance I have there, because as you guys know, I'm going to be going over fenders here and I'm going to be installing coilovers as well. This tire and putting that on the car is going to give me an idea of how much I need to cut up in the fenders, front and back. as well as what kind of spacer should I run if needed. The plan right now is to not run any spacers, but I am going dual caliper e-brake and the disc brake in the back, so that might require me to offset the wheel a little more with space. So I don't know, I'm just gonna test fit this in and see what it looks like. Alright, so I just want to show you the difference in widths here and how ridiculous this new tire is gonna be. It's 255, right? 215, which means we got 40 millimeters of difference, 20 millimeters on each side, 2 centimeters. So I got 4 centimeters of additional width, additional weight. It's gonna get grip for sure. Not that I was really breaking this tire loose, but this car is really gonna feel heavy and slow with this much of a tire size difference. I really need to figure out something with the engine to make the car go a little faster. And guys, this is what it looks like with the new tire and rim combination. I'm just kind of doing this as a joke. I just want to see what it looks like with the spacers on there still, because the previous rim has such a positive camber that it had like a 2-inch spacer on it. Look at this positive offset here. So I guess this is the type of setup you'd run if you were to go with like a wide ZZ fenders instead of the regular ZZ fenders. I have the ZZ fenders here actually. So if I were to mount a ZZ fender, it will look something like this. Still poking out. So yeah, one thing I know for sure is that the ride height is not that big of a problem as long as I keep the similar height. I'm definitely gonna trim this up a little bit so that it's not rubbing up top. So what I'm gonna do now is remove the rim again, remove the spacer that's on there, put the tire back on, and look at what it would really look like. So the spacer has been removed and it looks a lot better. It looks like it's gonna work nicely with the fender flares. Here is the spacer that got removed. That's gonna be at least an inch, maybe inch and a half. So let's just see real quick what this would look like with the flare on the car. Something like that. Nice. That to me looks like a nice functional fitment. Again, I don't know for sure until I actually mount it on the car, but this to me is looking good so far. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the footage. Hit the like button if you liked the video, please, and subscribe if you want to see more updates to the 280. Okay, lights out. That was weird. Lights just went out of nowhere. But anyways, I hope you liked the video. If you liked the video, hit the like button, please. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell next to the subscribe button so you get notified when I release the next video. There's a lot of plans for this car. I gotta do coilovers, tension rods, control arms, gotta do fender flares, and etc, etc, etc. So thanks again for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the footage. See you in the next one. Peace.